It's Tuesday, July 21st, rather. It is around 9 in the morning, a little after 9. We're going to stand by just a second just to make sure that our audio is coming through on the live feed so that you all can hear about a domestic dispute that kind of turned pretty violent, and there's some interesting facts about it. And we're going to be updating you just a second via a live feed. So. We're good. Okay. Good morning again. I'm Hernando County Sheriff Al Nienhuis. It is Tuesday, July 21st. It is about 9:15 in the morning, and we're here at 33128 Patrice Road. The mailing address is Dade City. It's actually southeast Hernando County in the Riverdale subdivision. You may remember this subdivision from the hurricanes. This subdivision often gets flooded on the road behind me, and we were out here a lot doing videos from the hurricane. But this time, we're actually here in reference to a very significant and serious domestic issue that occurred last night. Here's what we pieced together so far. Now, please keep in mind that this information is extremely preliminary. Everything that we've gleaned has been since around midnight last night, so it is certainly subject to change. We will likely do a press release with more details as the investigation develops. You can see that there's crime scene tape behind me. We're still doing a search of the house, so there's more information will be available. We wanted to get it out, particularly the people that live in this community. We wanted to make sure they get the information so rumors don't start, but also there's some interesting facts about this particular case that I think are important for the public to hear. First of all, it all started just after midnight, about 12:04 last night, early this morning at this house. Apparently there was a domestic dispute going on. We were not aware of it at the sheriff's office, but a deputy who happened to be in this area around midnight doing proactive patrol happened to be flagged down by a neighbor saying that there was possibly a domestic dispute in there. Somebody might be hurt. It was apparently getting pretty violent, and thought that it was important for the deputy to go check and see what was going on. Well, Deputy Howenstein went and knocked on the door. When the male subject opened the door, the deputy could see he was covered in blood. The deputy could see beyond that male a female on the floor. She was covered in blood and was unconscious. And so obviously there's an issue there. Almost immediately, the suspect in this case, the gentleman, started punching the deputy. A physical confrontation ensued. The deputy, our new tasers, they actually have cartridges in them, a little different than the old one. They have 10 cartridges. The deputy was deploying all 10 cartridges during the course of this physical altercation, and they apparently had little or no effect on this suspect. So it was a very serious fight. Fortunately for the deputy, we live in Hernando County, and that neighbor stepped up and got involved and helped that deputy, who was alone at the time, subdue that suspect. Now, what we pieced together is that there was some sort of typical marital type dispute in this particular household. Really don't need to go into details on that, but the result was an argument that turned physical. There were witnesses in the house that did relay that our suspect actually started the physical part of that fight and battered the victim. To the point where apparently she was unconscious when the deputy got here. And that victim was transported to the hospital. Fortunately, I'm getting reports that she's okay. The suspect in this case, apparently that fight was so violent before we got here that he was actually injured. Also, I think he had a couple broken wrists, but needless to say, he's been taken into custody, and his name is Jamie Lee Allison Jr. He's a white male. He's 36 years old. And again, this address is 33128 Patrice Road in the Riverdale community. The call came in about 12:06 a.m. or the deputy let the comm center know that there was a domestic here at that time. Now, the charges as it stands right now, and of course some of these are subject to change, but he's being charged with felony aggravated battery, felony domestic battery by strangulation, felony battery on a law enforcement deputy, felony resist deputy with violence, and felony depriving the deputy of communication device, because apparently in the melee that the suspect actually tore the deputy's radio off his belt. And but again, as I said, it appears that everybody's okay. Any of the injuries that were received were prior to the deputy responding. The deputy's okay from everything I've heard so far, and we'll get more information as it becomes available. But I think there's some things to understand that, you know, in this area of the community, it's not very densely populated. It is certainly not like Spring Hill. Deputies have a huge geographical area that they have to cover and do proactive patrol in. So it was really by the grace of God that the deputy happened to be going down the street. There was definitely a cop there when we needed, because who knows what would have happened inside that house had the neighbor not flagged us down, had the neighbor just minded his own business, and of course had the deputy not been here. So we wanted to bring you up to speed on that. When most of us were sleeping, there was a deputy patrolling the Riverdale neighborhood, and he actually maybe prevented something much worse for our victim, because it was a pretty serious situation. As always, we want to remind you, if you're watching us on Facebook, go up and click that follow button on our Facebook page so you'll be alerted to things like this. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, we're going to try to keep our YouTube channel for items like this of special interest and kind of breaking type events, videos. So if you're watching us on YouTube, click that subscribe button as well as the bell icon. That will give you notifications that we're going live, so you'll be up to date. If you don't want to be on social media with some of the other things that are going on there, you can go to YouTube and get much better information, more specific to breaking events like this that may be in your neighborhood, but definitely will be in Hernando County. As always, we appreciate your support of law enforcement. We saw it last night by the neighbor jumping in and helping the deputy, and I can tell you, Deputy Howenstein is certainly not taking it for granted, and neither do any of my deputies or I. So thank you for that. Have a great day.